Trauma season is summertime, which is the time of year when rates of traumatic injury increase for both adults and children. The main reason for increase in children or teenagers is that they're out of school and being engaged in the summertime activities that we enjoyed when we were younger and that kids enjoy, is that the risk of injury is slightly higher during that time, which is why we see more kids in the emergency department with injuries. I think one of the things that's important to remember with the injuries that we see during the summertime is that we're all doing activities that increase our risk. And these are fun activities and activities that we've been doing for our whole life. But what's really important is you can have an injury in a second. You know, one lapse of judgment, one lapse of attention, and you can have an injury. From my perspective as a surgeon who cares for injured adults and children, there are 4 things that you should focus on to lessen risk of injury this summer. Number 1 is safety around fireworks. Number 2 is water safety. Number 3 is always wearing a helmet when you're engaging in particular activities. And finally, safety around fires. With respect to fireworks safety, there are really 4 important things to focus on. You never want to allow young children to handle fireworks. With older children, you want to make sure that they're being supervised closely when they're handling them. And I think another key thing is that you don't ever want to handle fireworks when you're impaired by alcohol or drugs. It will dramatically increase your risk of injury. And then finally, never hold lit fireworks in your hands. 2 of the most devastating injuries that we see related to fireworks are injuries to the eyes and injury to the hands. And what contributes most significantly to that is if you're holding a firework or lighting a firework, it can lead to it exploding in your hand or injuring your eyes. The next important thing to focus on with safety in the summertime is water safety. So you always want to directly supervise children when they're around pools, lakes, or the ocean. All it takes is a second for them to slip out of your sight and go below the surface of the water. You never want to swim alone. Even if you're an experienced, skilled swimmer, you can always get into some unexpected difficulties. And then finally, you always want to wear a life jacket when you're operating watercraft, and that goes for motorized boats, canoes, kayaks, and jet skis. Next up is helmet use. We can never emphasize helmet use enough when it comes to safety. You can dramatically decrease your risk of injury if you wear a helmet when you're riding a motorcycle or ATV, or if you're riding on a bicycle as well. And then finally, safety around fires. 2 things to really emphasize is that you never want to put gasoline and use it as an accelerant on a fire. Gasoline doesn't burn, it explodes. And finally, when you have children around fires, you want to supervise them very closely. Everyone enjoys roasting marshmallows by the fireside, which I would encourage everybody to do this summer. But when you have younger kids doing it, you just want to make sure they're doing it in a safe way. So as a parent and as a surgeon, we always have times where we're sending our kids off to do summer activities. And I think what's important that parents remember is that you want to focus on the key elements of safety. You know, if your child's going to the beach for the day, you want to make sure that they have sunscreen, and you want to make sure that, there's a plan for a way that they can stay safe. You know, you usually want to go to beaches that are supervised by lifeguards to make sure that the environment stays safe. That's one example. Another thing that's important is that, we're all going to picnics. And if you're not going to be there with your child, you want to make sure that if fireworks are being used, they're being used in a safe manner. I think it's important to remember, even something as benign as sparklers, which we've all used as adults and children, they account for about half of firework-related injuries in children under the age of 5. So you need to be really careful if you're going to allow your kids to use sparklers, because even something as seemingly innocuous as a sparkler can cause a burn or an eye injury. So as a surgeon who cares for injured patients, I think one of the things that's important for all of us to remember is that injuries are not accidents, they're predictable and preventable events. So by simply engaging in the activities that we all enjoy in the summertime safely, we can greatly lessen our risk of injury.